Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're zeroing in on Grok Trade's stock market summary from April 21st, 2025.
Right.
We've got their daily report here, and basically our mission is to pull out the key stuff, what drove the markets, what it might mean, and the big picture right off the bat seems to be, well, different assets doing very different things that day.
Absolutely. It wasn't one of those days where everything just moved together. You saw some, significant drops in some places, but real strength elsewhere.
That divergence, yeah.
That divergence is really key, I think.
Okay, so let's jump into the stocks first. Grok Trade flagged some pretty serious drops there, didn't they?
They did, yeah. The S&P 500 down 2.38%, the Dow off 2.49%, NASDAQ down 2.47%, even the Russell 2000, the small caps, down 2%. So pretty broad-based selling.
And wasn't there something about analysis from the weekend predicting this?
Yeah, Grok Trade mentioned their analyst Des, his technical analysis over the weekend, looking at charts and patterns. It sounds like Duress was anticipating, well, maybe not the exact numbers, but definitely ongoing volatility.
And that seems spot on because the VIX, the fear gauge that jumped.
Oh, yeah. Up 14%. That's a significant spike. Tells you uncertainty, maybe fear, really picked up.
The people getting nervous.
Yeah, definitely. And Grok Trade sort of underlined that. They mentioned markets might test new lows on the daily charts and reminded folks about prudent position sizing. Basically, be careful.
Okay, so what was pushing stocks down? What were the main sort of economic drivers Grok Trade pointed to?
Well, they highlighted a couple of big things rattling investors. One was trade policy uncertainty.
Right. President Trump pushing for those negotiations, the 90-day window.
Exactly. That creates volatility, potential for good news down the line, maybe, but definitely uncertainty in the meantime. And the other factor was Federal Reserve dynamics, always a big one.
What the Fed might do next with rates, yeah.
Yeah.
That always keeps people guessing.
Always.
Yeah.
And how does the 10-year Treasury yield fit in? Grok Trade noted it holding at 4.33%.
How does that play into the picture?
Well, a 10-year yield is like a benchmark for borrowing costs. It affects mortgages, corporate debt.
Okay.
So seeing it hold steady there alongside worries about corporate earnings maybe being challenged, it just adds to that cautious economic feel, kind of a wait-and-see environment.
So a fairly gloomy picture for stocks that day. But like you said, divergence. Bitcoin was actually going up.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting. A clear break. Bitcoin rose 2.3%. And Grok Trade specifically mentioned it breaking above a multi-day consolidation.
Consolidation meaning it had been trading sideways for a bit.
Exactly. So breaking out of that range, Grok Trade saw that as a bullish signal, technically speaking, for Bitcoin itself.
And it wasn't just Bitcoin showing strength outside of stocks, precious metals.
Oh, they really took off. Gold, GLD, soared 3%. Hit new all-time highs.
Wow, new records.
Yep. And silver, SLV, that was up to about 0.8%. So significant gains there, especially in gold.
And Grok Trade explicitly pointed out this decoupling, right? Stocks down, Bitcoin and metals up.
They did. They made a point of noting that separation, which, immediately makes you ask, why? Where's the money going?
Feels like maybe a flight to safety. Or at least what some investors see as safer havens.
That's definitely a strong possibility, especially with gold's performance. Hitting all-time highs while stocks are dropping. That's classic safe haven behavior, seeking a hedge.
Right. Gold acting like gold is supposed to act in uncertain times, perhaps.
Precisely. It really reinforces that idea. Investors looking for somewhere to maybe shelter from the equity storm and broader economic jitters.
Okay, so wrapping up the snapshot for April 21st, 2025. We saw stocks take a significant tumble. Seems like worries about trade, the Fed, maybe earnings.
Yeah, Fed general uncertainty.
Yeah, but then you had Bitcoin bucking the trend, moving up, and precious metals, especially gold, having a really strong day, hitting record.
That's the core picture, yeah. Stocks down, volatility up, but strength in crypto and metals, a real divergence.
So it leaves us with something to think about maybe for our listeners. How do these contrasting moves, stocks falling while things like gold and Bitcoin rise, how might that shape how you personally view risk and opportunity right now?
Yeah, and what other questions does that raise? Like just how linked or maybe unlinked are these different markets really? Especially when things get choppy, something to mull over.